Hey everyone, when the market tanks and everyone's freaking out, most people immediately flip bearish, right? But me, I get pumped. I get crazy bullish because when I see these wild swings and everyone's running scared, that's actually when the best opportunities show up. So, yeah, I genuinely believe XRP is more bullish right now around $2.50 than it was when we were cruising past $3. Why? Well, we just wiped out a massive amount of liquidity. Plus, and this is key, we slammed right into that huge demand zone I was literally telling you guys about before any of this even happened. Seriously, go back and check those videos if you want. I was talking about XRP hitting somewhere between $2.30 and $2.60, and that this would be the critical zone to watch. Because what we needed, what we were waiting for, was exactly this: a big drop to the downside, smack into a demand zone, establish a solid floor, and then boom, continuation upward from there. And guess what? We've seen this exact pattern before. This is the same thing that happened right before XRP's biggest runs. So let's talk about what's really going on here, right? The big question everyone's asking, did we just hit the bottom? Is this market getting ready to absolutely rip? Are we watching the perfect storm brewing for another crazy parabolic move upward? And look, I'm going to be straight with you. I think this recent shakeout just gave us exactly what we needed. Because check this out. Right now, fear and greed is back down in that scary zone. The average RSI across crypto, totally oversold. And man, this recent dump had people losing their minds. So much fear about what's coming next. My feed is flooded with people screaming, bear market, it's over. Alt season's dead. They're all saying this cycle was just Bitcoin's show because of ETFs and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm actually convinced this setup we're in right now is the perfect recipe for an absolutely wild Q4 explosion. So let me break down a couple things straight away. The price action is telling us a story here because think about it. All those key XRP levels everyone was watching, we just sliced right through and grabbed all that liquidity. Here's what Crypto Insight UK posted. Look at XRP's daily liquidity map. Every single bit of downside liquidity just got swept clean. Look at this. In just one single daily candle, we absolutely demolished all the downside liquidity. Everything that was sitting below us, all that demand zone, completely swept. Now the question is, where's the next move? Well, it's got to be upward because guess what? That's where every ounce of liquidity is packed right now. We're staring at a potential swing to the upside here, and tons of that liquidity is chilling around the mid $3 area, possibly stretching all the way past $4. We snatched up the liquidity from below. Now our eyes are locked on what's sitting above. So here's my take moving forward. If we can keep stacking and reinforcing this floor we're standing on, and assuming Bitcoin manages to stage a solid comeback, then absolutely, XRP is about to unleash a crazy aggressive swing upward. We might witness a parabolic recovery unfold this quarter. Oh, and something else caught my attention scrolling through my feed today. This comes from Ether National, talking about XRP in a familiar setup from another cycle. The cyclical structure XRP is displaying right now, it's showing incredibly striking resemblance yet again. Remember after that huge rally in 2017, price got smacked down at the 2013 all-time high mark, then dropped back to retest that 2014 all-time high, which was playing defense as resistance earlier. Once it spent time accumulating momentum in that specific area, it kicked off its parabolic run from there. The chart pattern, almost a carbon copy. Following that powerful surge in 2024, price got turned away right at the 2017 all-time high mark and pulled back to retest the 2021 all-time high, which was previously blocking it as resistance. Right now, we're in the power accumulation phase happening in this exact region. After this consolidation wraps up, the next parabolic run becomes unavoidable. Patience really is your best weapon in this cycle. Looking at these charts side by side here, let me actually pull this up in a new tab so you can really see what I'm talking about. When we rewind to the 2017 to 2018 rally, yeah, we definitely saw a massive sell-off. We're talking from roughly 5.5 cents, almost touching 6 cents even. Then we crashed back down into that 2 to 3 cent area. That whole zone was pure demand. Now, if we compare that to our current price action structure, We literally just tapped around that 2018 all-time high resistance level. We just dumped straight into that demand zone from the 2021 all-time high. And guys, this is looking eerily similar to what we saw happen at the 2014 all-time high. So right now we're basically glued to our screens, watching to see if we're going to get that explosive reaction on the chart one more time. Now I can already hear some of you screaming at your monitors like, okay, that's it. We're headed straight to the moon. 40, 50, maybe even more on XRP. Let's go. Okay. Pump the brakes for a second. Real talk here, we've got to remember that diminished returns is totally a thing, especially when you're looking at these 4-year cycles or just how crypto cycles tend to play out in general, you know? So realistically, I'm eyeing somewhere around that $7 to $10 zone as our first major target. Then after we crack through that level, sure, we could absolutely push up into that juicy $15 to $20 territory. But listen, before we start doing backflips and ordering our Lambos, we need to see a little bit more action developing on the price chart first, because that's what's going to give us the clear signal that, yep, XRP is about to go on this massive recovery rally. Let's dive straight into Ripple Swell. We've all got November 3rd circled on our calendars because that's when Ripple Swell is happening. That's the day when everything officially kicks off. Now, am I sitting here telling you we gotta just wait patiently until November 3rd before we see this price chart finally blast back upwards? Absolutely not. No way. But here's the deal. This is one enormous catalyst that's gonna prop up the price movement. You're gonna see a ton of phenomenal conversations taking place at this event. And honestly, the speaker list they've assembled, it's genuinely mind-blowing. When you actually check out who's going to be speaking at this thing, you've got NASDAQ in the mix. You've also got BNY, Franklin Templeton, Citi, like the number of major powerhouse names that are going to be there having some really substantive conversations is legitimately insane. And here's what I've noticed with all these big industry events, whether it's Ripple Swell or even when Stellar does their Meridian thing, we typically see bombshell announcements come out either at these events or floating around that same time frame. So what I'm anticipating is that as we cruise into November, we're likely going to see some really big news drops from Ripple talking about fresh partnerships being revealed, expansion moves, things in that ballpark. So yeah, I'm fully convinced this is going to be an absolutely monster catalyst for XRP and for the entire world built around XRP. Oh, and don't even get me started on the ETF filings. November is absolutely stacked with deadlines for these big ETF applications. We've also got the Franklin Templeton decision dropping in November too. So picture this, we've got this whole avalanche of ETF decisions coming down the pipeline, and the timing literally couldn't be more perfect with Ripple Swell and Q4 being this monster period. Listen, Q4 is where I'm watching the price action super closely now, because check out what just happened. Right when Q4 kicked off, we saw this nasty plunge, and wouldn't you know it, that's exactly when these altcoin ETFs started really heating up. It's almost too clean how that massive liquidation lined up. Everyone freaks out and dumps their bags. Then bam, altcoins explode upward with this violent bounce back. And here's where it gets interesting. All that scared money chilling on the sidelines, it floods right back in. Total FOMO frenzy, pumping prices through the roof. It's textbook altcoin cycles, my friends. Rewind to 2020, rolling into 2021. Same exact movie. Altcoins got demolished. Paper hands got flushed out completely. Then, out of nowhere, altcoins staged this epic comeback. And all that sideline cash came FOMOing back hard. Look at 2017, 2018 even. Identical story playing out. The setup right now is almost exactly like before, except this time we have way more catalysts lined up. The price potential is just insane. And we just got some massive news on the XRP ETF front. Nate Grolschi dropped an update saying another wave of S1 amendments just came through for spot XRP ETFs. We're talking Bitwise, Franklin, 21 Shares, Wisdom Tree, Grayscale, and Canary. Some of them even have ticker symbols now. This thing is getting really close, you guys. So yeah, these XRP ETFs right now feel like a ticking time bomb just waiting to go off. And when they do, we could see some serious upside action. We're keeping our eyes glued to these ETFs because here's the thing. This is not just about XRP anymore. This is a catalyst for the entire altcoin market, which could trigger, do I even need to say it? Alt season, baby. I know. I know, alt season feels like some mythical thing that's never actually going to happen at this point, like a fairy tale or something. But that's exactly the vibe we want when we're talking about something as massive as alt season. And here's what makes it even crazier. These ETFs are so close to getting full approval, in my opinion. Think about the big players getting ready to jump in. XRP Crow posted something wild. XRP is making serious moves right now. Companies are literally lining up to hold over $1 billion worth in their treasuries. Corporate adoption is ramping up fast. The XRP era is here, and it's happening right now. And listen, there's literally a flood of companies checking out XRP at the moment, especially when they're thinking about what to put in their treasuries. Now, are some of these companies just pumping up XRP so they can drive up their own stock price? Look, I mean, you could definitely make that case, but here's my take. I think this is actually showing us something bigger. XRP has grown up, right? It's the mature player in the room now, and these companies are starting to get it. They're seeing the real value here, particularly if you zoom out and think long term. So honestly, it's probably a little bit of both going on. But what nobody can deny at this point is that XRP has come a long way these past few years. It's carved out a spot as one of the most rock-solid crypto assets we've got. And on top of that, institutional players want it. Enterprise companies want it. When big corporations sit down with their CFOs and start mapping out treasury strategy, XRP is on that whiteboard. I'd be doing the exact same thing if I were them. Now, I also spotted this really interesting breakdown of all the XRP catalysts coming down the pipeline. Big thanks to XRP for freedom on this one. So first things first, let me set the record straight here. The Fed rate cut decision, it's not happening on the 15th. We're actually looking at the 29th, people. So October 29th is showing a massive 98.3% probability for a rate cut. That's 17 days out from right now as I'm filming. Honestly, by the time you hit play on this video, we're probably looking at 16 days, maybe less. But here's where it gets interesting. We've got this spot, XRP ETF decision window, sitting between October 18th and the 25th. Then all these other dominoes start falling, right? The Ripple Bank license and everything. Word on the street is they're all clustering around that same period, like somewhere between the 28th and 30th. But real talk here, that's still pretty fuzzy. We're basically connecting dots and reading tea leaves on that particular one. Anyway, pushing forward, Clarity Senate markup is slated for late October, Clarity floor vote early November, but that's only if the government decides to actually, reopen and function. Then we've got Swell Conference hitting on November 4th. Let me pull up the overview one more time here. Yeah, so November 4th running through the 5th. Now, some of the preliminary stuff, the meet and greets, the networking receptions, that all kicks off November 3rd, but the actual conference itself launches on the 4th. Oh, and one more thing. ISO 2022 goes live November 22nd. ISO 20022 is looking like it's going to roll out around the end of November. Every single one of these catalysts we're tracking is something worth getting hyped about. These are the kinds of things that can really move the needle on price. Now, will everything magically happen on the same day? Are all these dates going to be rock solid? Probably not, except for the ones we know for sure, like Ripple Swell and the Fed rate cut decision. But here's what matters. All of this stuff can create real momentum for the price, especially right now when the charts are showing signs that we've hit the bottom. My take, XRP is gearing up for a serious comeback, and we're already watching it happen with older coins across the board. They're bouncing hard on the daily charts, especially in the top 500. Some of these are absolutely exploding off their lowest points. That's not random. That's real volume pouring back in, and buyers are aggressively scooping up these lows. And if you're doubting whether XRP had buyers showing up, let me tell you, XRP posted one of the most impressive recoveries we've seen in the entire market from those bottom prices. On some exchanges, it was legitimately difficult to even execute buy orders because the demand was that crazy. And sure, it wasn't only XRP experiencing this. Plenty of other established coins saw the same buying pressure too. XRP during that dip, absolutely insane demand. People were treating it like the last iPhone on Black Friday. But listen, this is precisely why we've got to position ourselves right now for what's about to unfold. Because when you get a sell-off this brutal, this fast, what comes next is usually a recovery that's just as violent in the opposite direction. And look at the pattern here. Every major catastrophe we've seen, the COVID crash, FTX blowing up, all those nightmare scenarios that felt like the end of crypto, they all marked bottoms. And every single time, the bounce that followed was absolutely massive. I'm convinced we're watching another one of those watershed moments right now. This was a pure liquidation cascade, the kind that shakes out weak hands and resets everything. And what happens after that? We rally hard enough to make everyone forget this dip even existed. Seriously, pull up a long-term chart and try to spot COVID. You almost can't, right? We've gone up so much since then that it barely registers anymore. It's just a tiny blip on the radar, and I genuinely believe we're about to see the same thing play out here. 6 months from now, this moment will just be another footnote. All right, that's what I've got for you today. If this helps you see things more clearly, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you catch everything I'm putting out. I really appreciate you being here. I'll see you in the next one.